an incredible night of mind-bending illusions. We hope you've been as amazed as I have. I'm Dean Cain, and we'll see you next time for more magic, more wonder, right here on Masters of Illusion.
Don't miss the season premiere of Wild Cards, Wednesday, February 5th on the CW.
Now at 10, President Trump and the First Lady tour the devastation left behind by the Palisades fire, promising federal aid to the victims and to help speed up recovery efforts.
Those recovery efforts could be dealt a setback as a storm threatens to bring rain to the region. The latest on efforts to prepare for possible mudslides and debris flow.
And the first wave of U.S. troops arriving at the southern border near San Diego as the White House says the largest deportation operation in U.S. history begins. Now on the news at 10. Good evening, I'm Micah Ullman.
And hi there, I'm Courtney Friel in tonight for Cher Calvin. President Trump promising federal aid to the victims of Southern California's devastating firestorm tonight after touring the disaster zone in the Palisades.
The president also pledging to speed up recovery efforts by expediting any federal permits so victims can rebuild faster. The president, along with the First Lady, walked through a Palisades neighborhood destroyed by the flames. Trump said he was stunned by the devastation, saying it looks like it got hit by a bomb.
We have team coverage of the president's trip to SoCal. Rick Chambers is in Pasadena with victims of the Eaton fire, but we begin first with John Fenolio. He's live in the Palisades. Hi, John.
Court, Micah, despite repeatedly criticizing state and local leaders' response to SoCal's wildfire crisis, tonight President Trump is pledging full federal support to all areas devastated by the fires. And despite safety concerns, he says people living in the burn zone should be allowed to return to their neighborhoods right away to remove debris and begin rebuilding.
We need these. President Trump on the ground in Pacific Palisades, touring the wildfire damage. Meeting with several homeowners on one street who lost everything, along with firefighters.
3, 2, 1, right here.
The president and First Lady surveying some of the more than 23,000 scorched acres from the air after being greeted by Governor Gavin Newsom at LAX.
It's like you got hit by a bomb, right?
Yeah, I have all the expectations that we'll be able to work together to get this speedy recovery.
We will. We're going to get it done.
It was an uncharacteristically warm reception between the two after Trump on Wednesday threatened to withhold federal disaster aid unless the state changes the way it manages its water. However, experts say the state's water supply to SoCal has nothing to do with January's wildfires. Newsom was not invited to Trump's emergency fire briefing at a firehouse in the Palisades.
I don't think you can realize how rough it is, how devastating it is until you see it.
Addressing state and local leaders, the president pledging full federal support to rebuild all areas impacted by the wildfires.
The federal government standing behind you, 100%. I'm going to give you everything you want. I'm going to give you more than any president would have ever given you.
L.A. Mayor Karen Bass thanking the president for his support while explaining that local officials are working as fast as possible to slash permits for debris removal and rebuilding.
But we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe. We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
Bass says she thinks Palisade residents will be able to return to their neighborhoods in about a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe.
The president did not visit Altadena, which was devastated by the Eaton fire, prompting pleas for help from Congresswoman Judy Chu, who represents the area.
I just want to make sure that you remember the people in Altadena and Pasadena, and that you can come there and see how terrible the devastation has been there so that they can get the help that they need.
We'll work closely, and I know your community was really devastated.
Earlier today, President Trump called FEMA a disaster and said that it is incompetently run. He also blamed Democrats for insurance companies pulling out of California. He made no mention of climate change or sprawling urban development in wildfire-prone areas. But again tonight, he is pledging full federal support for all areas impacted by the fires. In Pacific Palisades, I'm John Fenolio. Back to you.
John, thank you. Immediately after the wildfire roundtable, California lawmakers held a brief news conference responding to what President Trump had to say. Congressman Brad Sherman zeroing in on Trump's assertion that L.A. County didn't have enough water to fight the fires.
He talked a lot about water without ever recognizing that we don't have a water shortage here in Los Angeles County at this time. We have a water delivery system up here to the Palisades that is designed for ordinary use, maybe even put out 2 or 3 house fires at the same time. We never built a system here to deal with hundreds and hundreds of homes burning at the same time.
While Sherman criticized some of the president's comments, he praised Trump for touring the area and showing support to first responders.
Meantime, victims in 2 different communities say they feel forgotten by the president and wish he had taken the time to tour their neighborhoods. Tonight, residents express their frustration, but also remain hopeful that the president will provide aid to them.
Rick Chambers live in Pasadena with that part of the story tonight. Rick?
Yeah, Micah, we're talking about the victims from 2 very different disasters. Now, one of them certainly more recent than the other, but folks from both still in need. Protesters gathered quietly this evening across from the Trump National Golf Course in Palos Verdes.
Mr. President, we would really appreciate your help.
These are local residents who lost their homes over a year ago to landslides, but still cannot get their own aid from the feds.
FEMA has too much red tape. We need to stop the red tape. We cannot discriminate between disasters.
This is a real thing in California, just like fires and everything else. Landslides are a real thing right now, and we need help with dealing with it.
It turns out FEMA hasn't helped because it won't cover landslides. So residents here are feeling left out and abandoned.
The city is having difficulty financing this on their own. There is no help. No help, no visit from the governor, nothing.
Many of you, like me, were disappointed that he did not directly come here.
And left out is kind of what Altadena is feeling tonight. No presidential visit for them, even though the governor reminded Mr. Trump that there are 2 zones of destruction.
Thank you for being here. It means a great deal to all of us, and not just the folks in Palisades, the folks in Altadena.
But at tonight's Eaton Fire community meeting, anxious fire victims were reassured by Supervisor Barger that they will not be forgotten by the president.
He has made a commitment that he is going to come here. And I make you this pledge, and I told him that we are in this together, and I told him that the people of Altadena reflect exactly the people that he promised he would not forget if elected president.
She also told the crowd here that they will get a chance to speak with Mr. Trump, which was a welcome announcement. Also, she says she's calling for an independent investigation into exactly how the Eaton fire began. In Pasadena, I'm Rick Chambers. Guys, I'll throw it back to you in Hollywood.
All right, Rick, thank you. Meteorologist Vera Jimenez looking at the conditions as we head into the weekend, Vera.
And we do indeed. In fact, I have the first view of the accumulations that we can expect as we make our way through the weekend. So as you can see, this is going to be 7:15 on Saturday evening, and we're already going to start to see some accumulations. This is going to be a widespread rain event. We also have a flood watch, which means we are planning for, hoping it doesn't materialize, but we are planning for the possibility of some flooding, of course, and that's because there is a potential for some heavy downpour.